Hi, I'm Lizzie Sophia and this is Lizzie Sophia TV. Today we're talking about ecological breastfeeding, the reasons some women get pregnant while breastfeeding but others don't. Keep watching. When I was pregnant with Amelia and told people that I wouldn't be using contraception other than breastfeeding, many people were happy to pipe up with comments such as, "Oh, my friend got pregnant with twins just 1 month after giving birth," or "You do know that's unreliable, don't you?" But me, being who I am, had read all the research that I could find on the topic, and I was fairly confident that breastfeeding would in fact delay the return of my fertility. Now, there isn't very much research-based information about this topic online. The majority of articles and videos are based on personal experiences or those of a friend of a friend of a friend. But in all my hunting, I found Sheila Kipley and 2 books that she's published on natural child spacing. Sheila is a scientist who has dedicated years of her life to researching the natural effects of breastfeeding on the return of fertility. And she found 7 key factors that impact whether or not a breastfeeding mother's period will return soon after giving birth. So today, I want to briefly discuss these 7 key factors, as well as my own experience with ecological breastfeeding, including the one struggle that I didn't anticipate when I first got started on my breastfeeding journey. But first, I want to preface this by saying that I am not saying this is what you should be doing. This video is not about me making a judgment on how frequently you choose to breastfeed or any of the other topics that I'm going to be covering in today's video. What I want to do is provide mothers who are considering relying on breastfeeding for natural child spacing with the information that they need to make an informed decision. So with that said, let's dive in. When I talk to mothers about ecological breastfeeding, I say it basically boils down to this: think tribal. Just like tribal mothers, you are going to be feeding without unnatural, man-made interventions. This means you won't be using dummies or bottles, you will be sleeping close to your baby, and as much as possible, you won't be leaving them with other caregivers. So what exactly are the 7 standards of ecological breastfeeding? These come directly from a free PDF available on Sheila Kipley's website, which I will link down below. Number 1. Breastfeed exclusively for the first 6 months of life, not giving any other food or liquids, not even water. And this recommendation is in line with other leading health authorities such as the World Health Organization. Number 2 and 3 are quite similar to each other. Number 2 is pacify your baby at your breasts, and number 3 is don't use bottles and don't use dummies. Basically, all of your baby's sucking needs are going to be met at your breasts, which, yes, if you're wondering, means you will be feeding a lot. Number 4, sleep with your baby for night feedings, and number 5, sleep with your baby for a daily nap feeding. Whoa, wait up. Am I saying that you should be co-sleeping? No. I have no idea whether you can make a safe sleep environment for your baby in your bed, so don't take that as a recommendation. What I am saying is that the research says that mothers who co-sleep and subsequently tend to feed much more frequently overnight will generally experience a much longer period of postpartum infertility. So if you are considering relying on breastfeeding for natural child spacing, then I do recommend that you look into the safe co-sleeping guidelines to create a safe sleep environment for your baby that will work for you and your family. Number 6, nurse frequently, day and night, and avoid schedules. And frequently means frequently, not 3 or 4 hourly feeds. For example, the Kung tribe in the Kalahari Desert feed an average of 2 minutes every 15 minutes, and they tend to fall pregnant at 35 months postpartum. That is just under 3 years after giving birth when they fall pregnant with their next child, all without the use of contraception. In our Western culture, this would commonly and negatively be referred to as snack feeding. Again, am I saying that this is what you should be doing? No. First of all, this is a desert tribe, so climate is an obvious factor. My point is that you should be feeding your baby whenever your baby says that they need to feed, and not when a clock says that it's time. And finally, number 7, avoid any practice that restricts nursing and separates you from your baby. For example, in our family, this has meant that I rarely spend more than 2 hours separated from my baby. In fact, the longest time that we've spent separated was 5 hours, when my husband and I went for an early dinner and movie to celebrate our 2nd wedding anniversary, and Amelia was 1 at the time. So what about my own experience with ecological breastfeeding? Well, we have just passed 15 months postpartum, and there is still no sign of my fertility returning. And even though my daughter eats heaps of solid foods throughout the day, I tend to feed her roughly every hour throughout the day and every 2 hours overnight, although the last 2 nights she has slept through with just 1 feed, so who knows, things could be changing. But Lizzie, doesn't this drive you insane? This is a question that I get asked a lot because I do feed my daughter a lot. But the fact is, no, it doesn't. Because if it did annoy me, I would do something to change it. But I love our breastfeeding relationship just the way it is. You see, the one thing I struggle with may actually surprise you. It's not that I feed her so often through the day or that I get exhausted from nighttime feeds. It's not too much of a hassle for me. What I struggle with is the fact that I am still infertile. Even I didn't really believe that breastfeeding would delay my fertility this long. You see, going into my breastfeeding journey, person after person confidently told me, "You will get pregnant. I hope you're ready to have another child." And as soon as Amelia turned 1, something changed and everybody started asking me when I was going to have another baby, even the guy that I buy chook food off. But it finally dawned on me that with each passing month, Amelia will be 1 month older when her sibling is born. Logical, right? Specifically, hitting the 14-month mark was a big deal to me because it means that Amelia will be at least 2 years old before we have another child. But I'm finally at the point where it really excites me. You see, so much brain development happens every month with young babies and toddlers. And so I know that as Amelia gets 1 month older and 1 month older, when a sibling is finally born, she'll have so much more understanding and enjoyment and really be able to welcome a new child into the family. That is it for today's video. But before you go, make sure you head over to my blog, lizziesophia.com. Over there, I've got an accompanying blog post with more information on this topic. And when you are over there, make sure you join my email newsletter. That is the best way for you to stay up to date with all the videos that I've got coming out. At this stage, I'll be releasing 1 video a month. Thanks for watching.